Good morning. I'm Jeff Salyers, a professor of practice. Some familiar faces here. At Tulane in the marketing area, I teach sports marketing. The first class that's kind of been a part of this program. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the certificate programs, and then I'm going to talk to you about the sports industry in general. Right? Why does it make sense to be a part of these sports or these certificate programs? So the dean talked about the four areas: energy, hospitality, real estate, finance, and saving the best for last, obviously, sports management. What I'm excited about and excited to be a part of this, right? To me, these are very industry specific and really focused on setting you up for success in an industry that you're excited about, right? And I think these are all kind of very relevant and growing industries. So it's a broad swath of skill sets focused within that industry, and it's supplemented by experiential learning opportunities. I'm going to talk about the one that we'll be doing later this semester in sports marketing. She met Justin yesterday out getting ready for that opportunity. And so really the selling points on these undergraduate certificate programs, specialized skill development, right? Taking you from the broad theory of an area to, I'm interested in this industry, what skills am I going to need and how can I acquire those? Career advancement opportunities, industry recognition, and then something I think is really nice about how these are built. These are 4 classes, so it's 60 hours of instruction, right? Not a small amount to focus on any one subject. But if you think about, we have getting to know lots of undergraduate students over the last few years, right? We have double majors, we have people that have a lot of ambition in what they want to do at their time here in Tulane. And I think 4 classes, like I said, is 60 plus hours of instruction, or credit hours, I should say. But really enough to fit into a lot of folks' schedules. So that flexibility and time efficiency, I think, makes these very consumable, very accessible to a lot of undergraduate students. So I'm excited to be a part of those. I'm going to talk why we're here today more specifically about sports management. We know sports a global business, right? All cultures play and consume sports. It's large, it's diverse. And a lot of people, right, think of sports, we think of game day, event day, match day, right? And you have ticketing, you have event management, you have hospitality. You're putting on the show, right? Making the product. But it's so much more than that, right? When we think of the major revenue stream for many leagues and teams, it's packaging that content and producing it and distributing it through a partner. The media landscape is very rapidly changing as well, but has been a driver of a lot of the growth that we're seeing in the sports industry. Sponsorships, right? We think of sports marketing a lot of times from the team, the athlete, the league, but there are a lot of corporations are in the business of marketing through sports, finding a way to connect with their consumer through the affiliation, the affinity that consumer has for an event, for a sports team, for an athlete. And then there's this kind of emerging world from a revenue stream standpoint. We know sports gambling has become legal in many states, including Louisiana. Digital assets, kind of the intersection of fantasy and bringing that to life in different ways in a digital environment. And these revenue streams, as technology evolves, are all going to become more dynamic and grow as well. So I told you it was a growth industry, but I like to prove my point. So as an asset class, if you want to think of professional sports franchises as that, greatly outpacing across leagues, across sports, the S&P 500 over the last decade, right? In very dramatic ways, really. So we have all this growth. When you have something, a set of assets growing like this, investment comes, right? More people want in on the good times. That investment demands greater sophistication, right? They're going to have higher return ideas, different management ideas, and that sophistication, right, is what we want to prepare our students for. And these are just a few examples, right? But we see that sophistication through how do I leverage my asset of the real estate, the game day experience? What can that look like? Or like I said, the fragmented nature of content. How can we best take advantage of that? How can we stay on top of where fans want to consume media and content from a team? So we have a growth industry. We have more capital, we have more investment, we have greater expectations, right? This requires skilled leaders. And it takes me to something that I'm really passionate about, which is experiential learning. Training students via hands-on opportunities. And I can't thank Justin, I can't thank some other individuals that have just been really generous in the Pelicans and Saints organization with their time. I was actually talking to one of those individuals in the fall, right, just preparing for this class, works in corporate partnerships with the Pelicans and the Saints. And I asked, hey, we want to do things that you're thinking about right now, right? We want to expose our students to the problems that you're working through, right? And immediately his mind went to our local media rights, what we call regional sports networks. And I'm not going to go into the details on it, but what was over the last few decades a fairly stable and consistent and fairly large source of revenue for not just the Pelicans, but for all really Major League Baseball, NHL, and NBA franchises is in turmoil, right? And it's really based on how all of us here are consuming media, right? We're subscribing to cable less. Those fees that came along with it were kind of the backbone of this business model. So while live sports consumption on TV is doing very well, there's kind of this hopefully intermediate problem of where do we go if this business model doesn't kind of come out of bankruptcy and solve some of its problems. Based on our media consumption, it's, that's certainly a real risk. And so I was at the Saints Pelicans offices yesterday. I interviewed 3 marketing professionals from 3 different areas, ticket sales, from sponsorship as well from kind of content and media, all getting their perspective on this issue, right? We're going to edit that and share it with our students. So they're facing and tackling the same problems that industry professionals are, and they're getting the same insight from those industry professionals. So in group, students are going to present back their solutions. We're going to share those back with the Saints and Pelicans. So really excited to see all the students' great ideas on this subject. And that's really the crux of what we're trying to accomplish with these certificate programs, right? Practical skill development, thoughtfully designed courses that facilitate experiential learning, right? Access to industry professionals. And if we do those first 2 things, right? If we're building skill sets and you're having opportunities to network, be exposed near and far to industry professionals, access to opportunities is a logical next step, right? And we want our students to be job ready and people banging down the door, right, to get in and have access to those skill sets. I was talking to Justin and Arthur about kind of my professional background. I worked for the Charlotte Hornets way back when they were the Charlotte Bobcats. And since then, I've had a lot of opportunity to market other things like consumer packaged goods. And one thing I remember from my days with a sports franchise marketing, the event, the experience, and that's kind of come back as I've interacted with my sports marketing students, right? That I think is so neat. A lot of our marketing students came, I'm taking this class because I really like sports, right? And a lot of us who worked in sports probably started that way. But having time and having marketed a wide breadth of services and products, what really excites me about sports marketing is what you get to share, right? You're sharing an emotional experience, something that brings people together, family, friends, and sometimes strangers. And that connection is just a really neat product, right? If you think of what am I going to go to work every day and share with the world and share with my consumer, the emotional aspect, the connecting aspect of sports, I think is just a really powerful product to be a part of. So I'm really excited to be a part of this program and look forward to, I know some of you meeting all of the interested students over the next couple of semesters. Next up, the real industry expert here. Justin.
Thanks, Jeff. I think you're giving me a little too much credit, but appreciate it all the same. Everyone doing all right today? There we go. So appreciate you guys all taking the time today. My name is Justin Baldinger. I am the Director of Corporate Partnership Sales and Strategy with the New Orleans Saints and Pelicans. Jeff mentioned what's going on in the industry in such a wide-ranging aspect of what we do, and excited to give a little bit of a deeper dive on what we do in the partnership space, but also kind of offer some broad, wide-ranging advice on why working in sports in general is great. So quick background on me. I'm from Long Island, New York originally. Don't hold that against me. Graduate of Ohio University. They are known academically for 2 programs. They're known for their journalism program and they're known for their sports MBA. Go figure, I'm actually a journalism major. So it's funny how the path can kind of take you some funny ways. But was using that journalism degree from a professional perspective, first couple of years out of college, living back in New York, and was was doing some of the coolest things I've ever done, and making virtually no money to do it living in New York City. So that was challenging. Wanted to find something that gave me an opportunity to leverage something I was passionate about and also just make a living wage, which led me into the sales space. I was in media sales for 3 years, selling radio, television events, to companies like the ones that Jeff used to work for. Um, I found half of that, it's an opportunity to make money, find something I'm good at, which was sales, but wasn't quite clicking from a passion perspective. And that's what led me to the team side of my career, with the Columbus Blue Jackets, starting out. And that's when things truly clicked for me. It gave me more tools in my tool belt. It allowed me to leverage relationships and just created for, when I got there, probably 6 months in, I'm like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I say all that to say that I was 27 when I started the Blue Jackets. So, it's okay to be in the process of figuring this out right now as you guys are in the seats you guys are in. So was with the Blue Jackets for 5.5 years in the NHL. Wanted to take the next step in my career. So I was with the Jacksonville Jaguars, jumping into the NFL, trying out a new market, and now been here, both in the market and with the Saints and Pelicans for the last 6 months. So it's been great. This is my first time in a leadership role, so I'm managing a team of new business partnership salespeople. So it's a little background on me. Corporate partnerships. So Jeffrey spoke to a little bit about, but I guess I'll open it up to you guys. Do you guys know what corporate partnerships are? I guess in broad strokes. All right, I'll kind of give you the quick rundown because there's kind of that what people think we do and what we actually do. But long story short, anytime there's a business involved with the team where they're marketing themselves. So a lot of people think first and foremost, you walk into Superdome or you walk into the Smoothie King Center, you see a bunch of signs and LED ribbons and that sort of thing where there's a business aligned. But that also extends out to what we're doing from a social media content perspective, from a community relations perspective, television spots, radio spots, really anywhere where a business is aligning with the team. There's a good chance that our group was involved in that. So that's what we do. And it's good to kind of have that in my back pocket because there's a lot of what people think we do, which, if you ask my mother, she still thinks 10 years into this that I sell tickets still, which I do as part of deals, but she thinks I sell tickets. And then the other word that gets used a lot is advertising, which is what I did previously and to a degree what we do, but it goes well beyond that. We really are in the business, as Jeff alluded to, of telling brand stories, finding out what's important to brands locally, regionally, nationally, and helping tell a story in a place where people are passionate because, people buy or companies buy television spots, they buy radio spots, they buy billboards. That's advertising, but to be able to tell your brand promise and share what you're about in a place where people are excited and passionate is really unique. And that's what we're in the business of doing. So it also gives me an opportunity to become a mini expert in so many things. I'm going to throw a bunch of word salad out here, but I've done partnerships with companies that sell thermoplastic corrugated pipes. I've worked with companies that sell fractional ownership of private jets. I've also worked with the companies you'd expect, beers, banks, autos. You get to learn a little bit about everything in a lot of ways through the business that I'm in. So I've always been really grateful for that. It's always been something that, if curiosity becomes important, or if curiosity is important, if you love learning about just a bunch of different things and a bunch of different businesses, it's a great spot to be in. So that's one of the best parts. Some of the others, it's the coolest job in the room. Now, I say that the day I started at the Saints and Pelicans, I onboarded legitimately with our owner's new pilot. So that guy actually has a cool job. But I say so often, and my wife gives me the hardest time about this. We can be in a room of people, maybe we know them, maybe we don't. Inevitably, when we get to a point where we're talking about what we do professionally, the conversation always ends up veering, whether I want it to or not, to what I do. They want to know about what's going on with the team. They want to know, the insider access. They want to know just if we have a naming rights partner, oh, how much are they spending on that kind of thing? Everybody's intrigued by what we do. So it becomes a fun conversation piece. Also, and I say this, it could be a girl as well, but the phrase always got a guy. We've always got something. If your air conditioner broke down tomorrow, you got a guy. If you are in the market for a new car, your car breaks down, you got a guy. If you're out in LA or New York or Houston or whatever, and you are trying to get tickets because you're out there to a game, chances are we know somebody either on the brand side or again within an organization. It's such an interconnected business, and we have an opportunity to cultivate some really meaningful relationships with awesome people, again, both on the team side and with the brands we work with. And then just some of the places you get to go as part of this. I mean, I've been to NHL All-Star Game, I've been to NBA All-Star Game, I've been on the field at Wembley for a football game. It's one of those things where there's times where you just take a step back and you're like, if you were a sports fan growing up as a kid, it's like, you can't believe it, you know? So it's a really, really awesome industry to be a part of. So in terms of breaking in, how to get in, networking, which is kind of a passion point of mine. One, because in this business, everybody just knows everybody, but also because, you know, as I've gained more experience, I've had a lot of folks reach out, wanting to kind of understand the path, right? And there's some, I guess, some do's and don'ts, I would say. Biggest one's establishing commonalities. You know, I say this now, you know, sitting here, but somebody tells me they're a graduate of Ohio University, much better chance than not that I'm going to try to have that conversation with them because we have that commonality. So when you're thinking about, especially in the sports industry, who to chat to about establishing a path, about cultivating relationships, about breaking in, it's not sending out 100 emails and saying, I'd love to find, or LinkedIn notes and saying, I'd love to find your path. It's the people that went to Tulane. It's the people that are from your hometown. It's the people that maybe work for a team that you're a huge fan of. It's creating kind of a personal interaction that will set the stage for a really positive experience for you guys and for them. And then what are you trying to accomplish? You know, we've all been in the seat in terms of figuring out how to break into an industry. And you're in the seat you're in now, not going to have as much to offer the person who you're learning from as that person is to you. And that's okay. I've had a lot of conversations where people will ask me questions and it's like they're asking me it because they think it's the right question to ask and they don't really, the answer isn't really material to what they're trying to do in their career. Be thoughtful about what are the questions you need to ask, and what you want to learn about somebody that's going to help advance your path in the industry or really any industry. Because again, there shouldn't be, when you're having these conversations with industry professionals, there shouldn't be pretense about it. They know they're there to help you at this point. And when the time comes to pay it forward, you pay it forward. The last thing I'd mention is gratitude. At risk of being the old man yelling at a cloud. I'm surprised at how many folks reach out and we have a conversation and there's not a thank you, like a note or an email or anything like that. Actually, last week we were interviewing somebody for an internship and it went well enough. And our head of HR, who you've met, popped into my office the next day and asked how it went. And I was like, it went well. But I was surprised, you know, no, thank you. And I've gotten that a fair bit as we've been through the interview process in the last couple of years. I asked her, I'm like, is that something that you've experienced too? She kind of, her eyes got big because clearly it was a passion point for her being in HR. Apparently, like less than half of the people that she screens on a week in, week out basis, and she's interviewing people a lot, will shoot a thank you note out afterward. Easiest thing to do, goes a long way. And I didn't know this was a point of differentiation, but it will differentiate. And then once you get into the business, which hopefully this is something that, you know, you guys take in earnest because it's such a fun business. Attitude's everything. There's really no job that's too small. One of our interns actually just left the organization for a full-time job. And one of our Pelicans games last week, we were short-staffed and I'm running around pregame, dropping off Smoothie King smoothies to the scorer's table and logging to make sure our LEDs are running. Stuff that's largely, frankly, intern work and responsibilities, but that's the business, like picking up something off the ground, like whatever it is, like there's no job that's too small in our business. It's extremely collaborative, which I'll get to in a second. It's also not a 9 to 5. I would estimate that between the Saints and the Pelicans, I'll probably work an additional 35 nights and weekends. I'll work 35 games a year in addition to my typical office responsibilities. That's not including road trips. That's not including, you know, going out to New York and LA to see people. It's a lot. And I say that because I love it. It's my favorite part, being at games, going out, meeting people, being in the epicenter of where people are passionate about. It's everything in this business. But you got to be prepared for it for sure. I'd also encourage everybody to be collaborative. One of the best things about our end of the business is we touch everything, whether that's ticket sales, public relations, marketing, social media. Our partnerships inherently involve so many different stakeholders, and that's the sports business. Is everybody trying to row in the same direction? It's no different than being on a team yourself. So And then finally, just being comfortable being uncomfortable. As I mentioned in my career, I've been in Columbus, I've been in Jacksonville, Florida, and I've been down here in New Orleans. For me, that's been a privilege. My wife's from Columbus, Ohio. Jacksonville was a 10-minute walk from the beach. I was working in the NFL. It was great. And here, obviously, I'm going to tell you guys, this is one of the most vibrant, unique cities in the country. So I feel privileged to be a part of that. But this industry often means moving around. And for some people, that's awesome. I loved it. For some people, it's challenging, but that is inherently part of it, especially as you're moving around early on in your career. In closing, these are kind of three things that one of my earliest mentors when I was in media kind of offered to me, and it was very specific to the job at the time, but it's a through line I've seen with most of the successful professionals I've worked alongside. Be curious, don't assume, and have the courage to make the ask. So be curious. The best people I've worked alongside are endlessly curious about things they don't know, right? So maybe they're meeting with a company that works in a business they haven't known much about, or they just aren't afraid to ask questions. I guess I would say, there are a lot of people that they don't want to sound dumb or whatever, like people that are endlessly curious, not assuming. I can't tell you how many situations I was in early in my career where I was taking a meeting with somebody and I was like, this business doesn't make sense, or this person, I'm kind of just getting through whatever I've got to get through, that end up being long lasting connections or partners of one of the teams I've worked alongside. So always pursue all these conversations in earnest. And then finally, having the courage to make the ask. And this is personal and professional. When you guys are trying to figure out what's next in your guys' career, asking for the job, asking for the opportunity, asking for who they can introduce you to, whether it's, asking for an investment from a partner as we're pitching business, whether it's in your personal life. I mean, for me, that was, asking my wife to date me and asking my wife to ultimately marry me. Having the courage to make the ask, and it will go a very long way. So in short, really proud of my path. I think, it's an incredible business that if you give to it, it will give you back tenfold. And happy to address any questions when the time comes. So thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right. My turn, yeah. All right, how y'all doing for you gentlemen and ladies who came in? I am Arthur Ponson. I am a academic counselor in the B school. The unique thing about this certificate is I actually got my undergrad in sports management. So everything these two gentlemen told y'all today, I can say, because I've interned in athletics and worked completely spot on. People person, no job too big, too small. So once again, I just really want to say thank you guys for coming out and helping us launch this. But as you can see up here, these are the ways that these certificates, not just this one, but the other ones that aren't as cool. Yes, I said it on camera, it's cool. Joking, guys. For the people at home as well, these are the ways that the certificates can help enhance you guys' futures. All right. Expand your career opportunities, of course, opening doors to new roles and responsibilities. Always be open to listening and taking tidbits from things like this. Everything they've said, they've dropped a ton of gems here. Also, you will be able to go back and rewatch this as well as see those PowerPoint slides because we are posting this. That's why I'm talking to the people at home as well. Y'all will be the people at home too. So, all right. The growth and fulfillment while pursuing this passion, because one thing, it is something you have to be passionate about. It will not be easy, as they can tell you. Some days it's going to be easier than others, but that passion is what keeps you going. And you have to develop the mastery in a specialized area of interest, hone in on it, and continue to grow. Once you stop growing, that's when things tend to kind of become dormant. So always take something, learn from it, and see how you can better yourselves. That's now in school. Once you guys leave us, get out into the industry, whatever field it may be, continue to grow and always be grateful for the opportunities. Embrace the culture of a lifelong learning. I want to say continue to improve, stay abreast of the new trends and innovations. Today's trends are not going to be tomorrow's trends. Today's trends weren't yesterday's, last week's, last month's, last year's, and so forth and so on. It's going to continue to change and continue to evolve. Sports today and sports in 5, 10, 15 years from now are going to look completely different. All right, building a valuable pathway, professional success and personal fulfillment, guys. That is what you guys make of it. What you put into this is what you're going to get out of it. But as far as the sports management certificate, these 4 courses are the ones that you will be taking. All of y'all are familiar with the 30-10s. Those are gonna be you guys as prereqs that you have to take before you can even get in to the program of the certificate courses. This is the important slide, guys. To declare the certificates, I know we've had instances in the past where you took the courses. It may align, so your counselor will reach out. This is something you guys are interested in. You have to meet with your BSM counselor and declare it. It will show up on you guys' audit. There's gonna be a drop down at the top. I don't know if y'all have seen the drop down arrow. Depends on your majors, massive accounting, things like that. You drop down on that tab, you're gonna click it. It's gonna show the 4 courses, just like the rest of your audit. The blue, green, dots are green when you've done, blue when you're in it, and red meaning, you still have to take it. Like I said, planning with this with us is essential because not every course will be offered every semester. So it's kind of like when you see it, jump on it, get in it, so you can knock it out and get this taken care of. Once again, the prereqs, you have to meet those. But the unique thing about these is those 12 general business electives that everybody has questions about, these can be used towards those. So you have to do those 12, might as well get something a little bit extra out of it, right? So that'll help knock those out. Good thing is, helps the general. The 4 courses, little room for error, but telling you guys there's something you're interested in, it's not gonna feel like that extra work, that extra grind. It actually is kind of fun when you sit back and think about it. So I think everybody who gets on this path will have fun. No petitioning or substitute courses. Of course, we've had that in the past. But this is the contact information for all of us, all right? If your last name's A through E, congratulations. I'm the guy. All right, shoot me an email. I'm upstairs in the B school. Y'all know what the Office of Undergraduate Education is. You can see my window. People knock on it and just walk in all the time. I'm always in there. If I don't have a meeting, I'm always open to talking to you guys, asking questions, anything like that, setting up meetings to help my students. But F through LE, that would be Ms. Shira Hussein. That is her email address, shussein1@tulane.edu. Last name's LI through R. That would be Miss Megan St. Pierre. sstpierre@tulane.edu, and for S through Z, as well as our Altman scholars who might be interested in these programs, that will be Miss Charlotte Batiste, and she is cbatiste@tulane.edu. That's for all of the certificates, not just the sports management, it's also the energy, the hospitality, as well as the real estate and finance and investment. All right. Now we're going to open the floor up to questions from you guys for our industry experts here. So you guys have at it. Remember, speak up because the people at home are also going to be taking into account what you guys' great questions as well as to hear their answers. All right. Anybody with any questions? Yes, ma'am.
This one actually goes to you, Arthur. Do you know, is there a planned out course schedule guide for those 4 classes? Because I know like sports marketing isn't being offered for this current fall. And some of us may be like sophomores or juniors who only really have like 4 more like semesters to take these courses.
Right now it's dependent on instructors, which is why they aren't offered everyone, but the plan is to offer them. If it's not in the fall, it will be in the spring. So it's not gonna be like they're gonna be 2 semesters concurrently that they won't happen. It's gonna be a back-to-back. But as we get more people involved, that's the goal for it to be offered semester to semester. But right now it's every other kind of deal. But we're trying to change that.
Every other for like all 4 of them, or is it a likelihood like one of them will be in the fall, one of them will be in the spring?
2 and 2 is gonna be the goal, the starting goal. They want it to 2 and 2.
So most likely we'd have to take 2 in the same semester and 2 in the same semester.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No problem at all. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
What would be your advice if you wanted to pursue an internship opportunity in the sports industry and how to stand out amongst other candidates?
We're going through that process right now, funny enough, and it's always rotating cast. I mean, some of it is gonna be obviously the experience that you brought to the table in terms of what you're doing differently in terms of your extracurriculars. And everybody's different, but I've always made a great effort when it comes to internships and entry level opportunities to emphasize traits. So I would say being personable, being prepared, knowing who you're going to be talking to, and again, kind of that strong follow up afterward is going to really go a long way, because so much of our business is just being in rooms talking to people. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about things that you'll learn, but like so much of it is just that. So.
I think he's the expert on such things. I get a lot of questions, and I think some kind of normal insecurities from students, right? Well, I've only done this, right? Like, I think for an entry level job, you're not expected to walk in with 5 to 10 years of experience, right? So it is, even if it's something small that you've done on campus with the athletic department or previously, think about opportunities now that you can get involved in anyway from the sports industry, right? And then think about when you get in front of people like Justin, how do I tell this story? How do I make the most in an honest way, right? How do I bring to light what I did do in sports? Because when you're looking at an internship or an entry level job, like the margin of separation between candidates, right? You're getting people in college, they probably had some, but not a whole lot of experience. So it really is the little things that Justin said, and also just being prepared to tell your story, right? What makes you interested in the role, and then what you've done with the expectation, right? It's not going to be a ton, but what you've done that makes you best prepared.
So I know in one of the classes you talked about like doing experiential like learning. What would that like also be within the classes of the certificate?
Yeah, so our final project in conjunction and just kicked off soon with the Saints Pelicans is that experiential learning opportunity.
Yes, ma'am.
I get constantly told the value of networking when it comes to opportunities. But a lot of the things when people talk about networking is, oh, use the connections like you already know, like talk to like your parents and the friends of your parents and all of that. Or if you're disadvantaged in that realm of networking, what are ways to compete with people whose dad is working for the Pelicans? Although I want to compete for that same position.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I would say, networking, yeah, I mean, it starts with some people but part of it, like I mentioned, is establishing commonalities. And the other thing is I would be well researched and well versed in the people that you're looking to connect with. So as you're establishing more connections on LinkedIn, and most people, especially like if they know you're looking to get into the sports business and you're adding people in the sports business, they're going to add you. If you see something that looks interesting, looks compelling, that is something that you either have thoughts on or questions on, that's going to be a really great info, because again, I think it's much more about making it personal. So sometimes that's establishing commonalities. Sometimes it's, I saw something of yours that resonated with me, would love to either learn a little bit more about it or chat a little bit more about it. What's your availability? Because that, just doing that is going to cut you through 90% of the clutter of people who are sending notes on LinkedIn or anywhere to say, hey, Justin, my name's so-and-so, and I would love to learn your path in sports, because they're sending that 100 times over. If I know there's a reason that you're looking to connect and you want to chat, that's going to break through in a way that it's just not for others. So I would keep your ear to the ground in terms of just what's going on in the industry, follow a lot of people, and leverage that to make legitimate connections.
Any other questions, guys? Yes, ma'am.
If you were a student now, would you pick to be in the certificate and why?
I would. I mean, for me, it's funny seeing my path is different than a lot of people's. Like I said, I went to school in journalism. I spent 3 years getting into like B2B sales. So there became an applicable skill set that I had. But the running joke I made with my boss, the Blue Jackets, for 5+ years, because he didn't hire me. He came in about a year after I started, but became one of the closest people to me in this business. But the minute he started, he was very laser focused, right or wrong, on previous sports experience and a sports background. And my joke to him was always, you would have never hired me, even though I was at the time, as the top performing seller. And we laughed about it because it was true. Like this business, people really do get fixated on sports experience. And once you're with a team, I think it's easier to move up and break in, but that is going to make a difference because I can't tell you again, just as I'm reviewing resumes for entry level jobs, for internships, how many people send resumes and it's just not applicable because it's cool to work in sports, right? They don't really think about the what, but the fact that you've demonstrated intentionality, it's something that had I known my path and known that this was what I was going to do, I definitely would have made that investment
Oh, yeah, I would have eaten this. I was a marketing major in undergrad and they actually started a sports marketing class. So I didn't actually get in. I registered, I didn't make it. And I went to the professor and like, hey, and don't do that. Now that's a bad example. And if I could have done more classes in sports, because I showed up to undergrad, not really, being a marketing major, it sounded like a real job maybe. I didn't know what I was going to do. We had a sports marketing association, a club on campus. I got started with that. Got to start to work game nights, doing all kinds of like leading halftime promotions, doing PA, so getting rid of reading tickets, anything that and to me, it's how I kind of just start having any professional experience that kind of connected to what I was learning. So any opportunity to, especially where you are, right, to get experience. And experience is obviously great on campus with professional sports teams, events around town, but also you can gain experience in the classroom, right? Through experiential learning, through contacts. We have guest speakers that I record videos because we have 3 sections, but they're always open to people reaching out on LinkedIn. It's just taking all of those opportunities and eventually, right? You might not feel it now, but eventually 2 or 3 years down the road, when you've kind of determined this is the path, you built a pretty good resume, right? It only happens through that work you put in, but it'll happen quicker than you think, especially if you're enjoying it.
I can give an unbiased opinion. It is absolutely a good idea. I said, if I wouldn't have majored in sport management, I would have seen this and be like, this is something that would have triggered my want to learn more. And it's a way to say, you don't just get one thing. Those 4 courses, you get a kind of crash course in the whole. Because like I said, most people see what game day. But when you did yours, what did you see? Pre-game, post-game,
Yeah.
there's tailgating, there's breakdown. I tell people, a lot of people like, man, I didn't know that happens. When you notice it happens, that's when something's going wrong. A lot of times, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. You don't want to be seen on game days. In certain jobs, that means you did your job excellent. And this is gonna be the intro in, guys. That'll get you guys just small things. And certain things you might lean to, some things you're not. That's also gonna be where your academic counselors come in. Said, don't email the teacher. Let us do that on your behalf. We're your lobbyists on your behalf. So if y'all ever have anything like that, please reach out to your counselors. That's what we're here for, to advocate for you guys in classes. If y'all have things, questions, that's what we're here for. All right. Any other questions?
This will be my last one.
Nah, you good.
Is there any possibility that any of these courses are offered in the summer? Or ideas floating around that they possibly could be offered in the summer?
Ideas floating, from what we've been told, they do. We haven't got a yes or a no yet. But the good thing is with these being so new, y'all are gonna get all the informational changes in real time. As soon as the counselors get them, we'll get them out to you guys in a mass email to the people who are interested. So we keep you guys in the loop of saying, hey, we have this coming, so be on the lookout, or this might not be happening like we thought it would. Any changes, they let us know, and it's our job to get it to y'all as fast as we can. No problem at all. Yes, sir.
Do you expect a data analytics course to become part of the certificate?
Any?
I would learn
I
that.
They wouldn't let you tease that.
I think that'd be a very great addition, and I'm speaking a little out of turn, I think that will be part of the business in sport class, not probably as all encompassing as you're thinking. But I think to some extent, there'll be parts of that covered in that class. But I think it would be neat to have just a specific course. So certainly something that we could talk about.
Right, that
And
is
it's an
something.
end of the business we're seeing considerable
Yep.
growth in for sure. So it's a good question.
So I know one thing that's kind of a big issue in the business school is we have so many students and it's like really hard to get into classes. I know I'm a marketing major and like there were a bunch of classes I wanted to take. I really wanted to take the sports marketing class, but when it rolled around, like there were no seats left. And so I anticipate this program being really popular. Do you have a plan to kind of handle the demand, like maybe making it like an application, or are you gonna expand more sections, or maybe there's something?
More sections, yes. This semester it was kind of a soft rollout, is what they called it, because they just wanted to see if there was a demand. And now that we do know there is a demand for this as well as other courses, it's gonna be more sections. Once again, it's gonna be something too. If you're on the wait list, reach out to one of us, especially if you are getting towards the juniors and seniors. You guys reach out to us because that's when we can advocate. Say, hey, we have some people are going to try to take the courses to where they just want the class, but I believe this is going to be a different section, so it's not going to be for everyone because if you look, it's not going to be that marketing and whatever the number, it's like a BSG now. So that's gonna be specific to the certificates. So no problem at all. Next question. No? All right, guys, if y'all do happen to have any questions, please feel free to reach out via email. Meet with you guys as counselors once again. That's what we're here for. Thank y'all for coming out. I believe we do have closing ceremony. That'll be in a few moments. So once you guys exit, y'all can go right into the common area right there. And if y'all have questions out there, we'll also be out there as well. So thank you guys for coming. Gentlemen, thank you guys.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for taking the time, guys.